friends, it is my great pleasure and honor to be invited to this event and to present you the guests of this conversation. I'm very happy to be with you today for this discussion that has obviously a very important role, talking together about the future of Europe. This is obviously an urgent need. For years, as we know, Europeans and the Western world believed in the end of history. Being naive, we thought that liberal globalization was the conclusive moment for the shocks and crises that had hurt our countries for centuries. Politics could finally come to an end and dissolve itself in the efficient administration of economy. There was nothing more to care about, nothing left to be protected. In fact, any heritage from the past was to be transformed into something new that was necessarily better. Natural limits, old-style institutions, even the human condition as itself. All of this was to be replaced, and this was called progress. Why discuss about it? There was no decision to be made, only reforms to implement. There was no choice left but to accelerate towards the future. Debates and cleavages could be replaced by technical solutions. Leaders were not expected. Only experts were waited for. Societies were made not of citizens but of consumers. Work was only a boring need to buy leisure. No more special day to work. No special day left to rest. Nothing that could really seem special, in fact, apart from picturesque scenes for tourism. Anything that dared still to claim a higher value than individual life and immediate pleasure was a potential danger to denounce. Religion was a bizarre remain of the old world. Belonging to a people would have implied too many unwanted relations and even, who knows, an annoying sense of duty. The word nation seemed downright dangerous. In fact, nothing common, no common good, could really pretend to any substantial importance. The nominalist revolution, which had founded modern times at the eaves of the 12th century, seemed to have won eventually a complete victory with the defeat of communism. No limits could now stop a never-ending movement, preventing any historical continuity to occur. No rules to stop the vibration of the markets to absorb all of human life, and no borders to refrain the migration that was supposed to become our common horizon. In this moment, it looks like European Union was a synonym for this end of history. Look, nations that had fought each other in bloody wars forever had decided to unite under the same trade rules and become a European economic community and then a single market appeased by the rules of trade. Didn't it look like the end of history? And a happy ending, of course. We are in 2020 now, watching the end of history. And this is what we should talk about today. The new millennium, we know it started with a crisis with a terrorist attack, and then a financial crisis showed how the states were needed when finance was collapsing. This year, a pandemic recalled us that the archaic fear of the past had not been abolished. Surrounded with all our technology, we experienced again that being alive means essentially being vulnerable. This time of crisis, economic, social, ecological crisis, recalls us the very definition of politics, in fact. Living a true human life depends on fragile miracles, in nature as in culture. And the first task of politics is to ensure that they can remain from the generations that brought us to their improbable light for the generations to come. This time of crisis is the moment of decision, but will we be able to decide? Europe can find again its true meaning. We are sure of it. I am sure of it. We can find new ways to reinforce our member states and our European neighbors, by transforming our common market into a geopolitical lever, by making it a decisive tool to implement a global economic conversion to better protect the environment and people, by finding again that what we have in common is more than any project or calculations. We are united by the whole history of a civilization. Europe is not an international organization that would be empty of any content. Though we denied it in the last decades, we are united by our common roots. Eastern, Central, Western Europe share a common heritage, and simple eyes can see it. In Budapest, Belgrade, Ljubljana, and Paris, George Steiner saw what he called a tale of three cities, the meeting of Athens, Rome, and Jerusalem. Our Greco-Latin roots, foundation met with our Judeo-Christian tradition, and they made our countries what they are today, seen from the rest of the world. Will we be able to decide now that this heritage is worth our effort, that it deserves to be transmitted to the next generations? We can find again our way in history by being truthful to what we should stand for, principles we have in common, conscience of our responsibility towards our people, giving citizens the possibility to decide of their future. Respect for democracy and the subsidiarity that should have always remained in the center of European construction. Gratitude for our common cultural heritage. Being truthful to that, being truthful to what we are, implies also, I'm sure of it, to keep in our arts and institutions a passion for freedom. No country can be truly democratic, truly European, in fact, while losing this sense of the absolute respect of human conscience. There is no camp defending our heritage against individual freedom, because as Europeans, we know that there cannot be any contradiction between them. And this is the moment to discuss. But at this very moment, when it is more needed than ever, it is also, we know it, more difficult than ever. I was first surprised, I dare to say, by the title of this event, Europe Uncensored. But it found all its meaning, sadly, when some papers refused to announce this conversation. Why? This is meant to be an open debate, an open conversation. So many misunderstandings in the past, so many biased trials and superficial judgments, so many false information sometimes have made the European conversation nearly impossible now. We have to regain the possibility to discuss, because we have to regain the possibility to decide then. And this is the very essence of democracy. And this is the reason why I would like to thank, in your name, with all those of you who will participate to this event, I would like to thank all those who made this event possible. Three guests that will now take the floor. First of all, Alexandar Vucic, President of Serbia, that has just been elected, and I want to congratulate him for his great victory. He was before Prime Minister, Vice Prime Minister, and Minister. Then we will have Janez Jansa, Prime Minister of Slovenia, and finally, the Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orbán, who is hosting this event today in Budapest. Mr. Alexandar Vucic, you have the floor.
Thank you very much for hosting this great meeting, and my best regards to my friends Viktor and Janez in Budapest and Ljubljana. Taking preparations for this meeting and always trying to speak a bit differently than what all the others might expect. For me, I have to say that I will speak about two main topics. One is the role of center-right, right political parties in Europe today? And number two is, what should we do, all of us, to have Europe stronger and economically sustainable, and also free from all hazards and uncertainties that we might face with. Number one, I think that COVID-19 taught us that the most important hazard and jeopardies that we are facing with is health hazard. It showed to us how vulnerable all of us are and how one virus can change many things, not only accelerating the movements that were present in the world, the things that have already been started changing in the world of nowadays, but changing many other things that people would never expected to see it. Number two, we'll have to take care of security issues. One of those security issues are possible regional conflicts, and no doubt that we'll be getting closer to different regional conflicts, bearing in mind terribly difficult economic situation, plus politically difficult situation in entire Europe, plus all health hazards that I have already mentioned. Number two, speaking about safety and security issues, is always possible renewal and revival of migration crises, which we always have to be very much aware of. Number three, it's how we're going to protect our economies. What we're going to do, not only in flattering our people and saying, okay, state will invest more and more. And I think that's also a very important role of center-right political parties in Europe. But we need to protect more than ever before small businesses, entrepreneurs, and medium enterprises. If we don't do it, we're going to lose everything. We can win elections once, or we can buy 1 or 2 years more of our time. But we are going to ruin absolutely everything that is substantive for our economic sustainability. Saying all this, I think that we are facing the toughest period of time for all of us, not only three of us, but the toughest time of an entire Europe. Speaking about all these issues, it's not easy to say whether we'll be able to tackle it in a proper way or not. I saw today's new foreseens about European economy, and once again, all those projections are being decreased. All the numbers will go further down than it was expected. I can say on behalf of my country that we are satisfied with the numbers. We got confirmed numbers from an IMF, World Bank, and all the others, and most probably, together with Hungary, we'll have the biggest growth rate this year in Europe. And if you ask me whether I'm satisfied with that or not, no, I'm not. It's a disaster. We expected to have plus 5.2% growth rate this year. We're going to have either zero, minus 0.5, or something like that. And that's a true disaster for all of us. And bearing in mind the fact that French, Italians, Croats, and even Germans will have minus 7.8 up to minus 11. And our economy is very much related to, in particular, German economy, but also Italian economy, French economy will suffer a lot. And then question for us is what we can do and how we should prepare ourselves to remain focused on all these issues and to survive. And to survive, but not only to survive, but to keep the hope for the people's future in our countries. First of all, there is something that we cannot do. We can't beat a virus without new vaccine or new medical treatments, new medical protocols, which are not on site yet. But there are many things that we should do and that we can do. Number one, speaking about safety and security issue within Europe, we should more closely cooperate between each other. I'll tell you something. We haven't agreed on everything with our Hungarian neighbors speaking about migration crisis. But I'll tell you what we did in the best possible way. We have always been showing respect towards Viktor's political stances, his actions, and everything else. We showed respect, and we thought that he was doing by far the best things for his country and for his people. And we have never ever said anything against that, and he has never ever said anything against our measures that he might not liked in the past. He showed respect towards our country. And we have never had any problems, any single problem between ourselves. And we became the best neighbors with the best possible relationship that we have ever had, showing respect. And that's why I'm saying this. I'll come up with my personal political example, and I'm not making any complaints. I'm a political veteran, and just for you to notice this. At the beginning of COVID crisis, I think it was the middle of March, something like that, European Union all of a sudden brought a decision of not allowing export of medical equipment to Western Balkan countries. And we were facing a terrible situation. We were all afraid. Nothing was under control. And you know, that day we got an information that we couldn't buy any more ventilators, Dräger ventilators from Germany, that we cannot buy even if we would pay ventilators from France or Italy or some other countries, because of the decision that we don't belong to Europe and we have no rights to buy it. We have no right to protect our citizens. Of course, it lasted only for 2-3 days. But at that particular day, I reacted saying that solidarity was nothing but 1, 2, or 3 words written in the paper. And an entire propaganda of so-called liberal medias. An entire propaganda. And I was, of course, profoundly grateful to Chinese that sent us help at that time. I was defending my country's and my people's interests, basic interests, to survive, to live. Nothing more than that. And I was saying the truth. And I thought that I had a right, like Latin famous proverb, audiatur et altera pars. But it was not allowed. I became an object of the worst possible offenses, someone who betrayed Europe just because I was expressing my own opinion. After that, I heard that opinion from all the other European officials. But of course, the easiest way for everybody was to attack myself, to attack small Serbia, because we are not, as my friend Viktor used to say, we are not a member of club. And what we need, it's mutual respect, it's mutual coordination, it's truthful and friendly cooperation between our countries, not only our countries, but all European countries. And we need to see what would be the best solutions for all of us. And we need to respect all our differences. Differences are not something that creates problems to us. We should brag ourselves of our differences. We should inherit it, and we should boost it in a way. And that's one of political issues. The other one is full cooperation on all security and safety issues. Today, we'll be able to, and I have always been asking our German friends and all the others, please, friends, tell us what you need from us on migration crisis issues. And I have never had the real response, to tell you the truth. We showed solidarity to those people, we treated them well, we did everything in a proper way, but I didn't hear a unique answer from European Union, to tell you the truth. Now we need to know what, if that will happen again, what we need to do. And we'll do it, and we'll deliver. We are capable enough, and we'll deliver on that. We need to cooperate on that issue. Furthermore, speaking about protecting small businesses in particular, those people that are feeding our nations, that are feeding our countries, entrepreneurs, and maintaining our economies sustainable, we need to cooperate with each other as well. I learned a lot from Viktor, and I'm not ashamed to say that publicly. I visited him twice recently. He was in Belgrade twice, and I was always asking him how to overcome some difficulties that we were facing. And we got some support, we got some assistance, but more than anything else, I learned many things, and as you can see, we succeeded to tackle our economy in a relatively proper way, In the last 2 years, our growth rates were 4.4 and 4.2. We cut our public debt from 79% to 52%. Even after investing 2.3 billion during COVID crisis, our public debt GDP ratio is 57%, and it's not going to go above 60%, which is Maastricht level. It shows that we are doing relatively well. But we need to be very focused on this. We need to cooperate with each other, and we need to carry on with our work. For me, it would be, and that's something that I wanted to share with you. You know, 7 days ago, I thought to impose once again lockdown of an entire country because of that new wave of COVID-19 crisis. But you know, if we would have done that, we would have no chances to survive economically. And we need to live with this. We need to take all precautionary measures. We need to do absolutely everything, but we need to keep on working very hard, just to protect our business community and our workers. And that's why we need this sort of cooperation more than ever. And we are not asking for new loans, we are not asking for big money, we are able to earn it by ourselves, but we need to put aside or to put under control all the other jeopardies, all the other hazards we might face with. Speaking about Europe, you know that European accession process is the strategic goal of Serbia. I think that what you have said in your introductory word is of an utmost significance, and I heard it from many of our friends in Europe, but I have never heard of the most important people, not most important, but the most powerful people from European Union. I think that European Union has to become not only the best place for people, speaking about living standards of people in an entire world, but European Union has to regain bigger political role, and that European Union don't have to focus only on technocratic issues. And I'm not underestimating issues of rule of law and everything else, which I know that many people would immediately make some comments or something like that. No, not at all. But I think that European Union was built on smart political decisions, taken in 2004, taken in 2007, taken even the most recently. I think that Europe has to understand what happened after Brexit, that it's not only us that we need Europe. I think also that Europe needs at least some of us from the Western Balkans, and I need that bigger political courage is needed, and I believe that this political administration in Brussels will show it to the bigger extent than it used to be in the previous times. And speaking about it, I think that Europe has a great opportunity to become the very best place of the world. America is getting weaker from different reasons. China got economically even a better position, politically not that easy position. Germany, of course, has risen recently. Both, in spite of this crisis, politically and economically, which is a big opportunity for Europe, but also there are many other challenges. And the challenge is going to be that the biggest one that I see today, that many, particularly Mediterranean, big European countries will face terrible economic crisis, and I'm not certain that they'll be able to focus themselves on the real role of Europe in the future. I hope that President Macron is very much aware of that and that he understands this and that he's going to do his best to tackle this issue in a very proper way. Otherwise, I'm not certain that we'll be able to, as I have just said, overcome all these difficulties in a way that we would like to see. Let me say just a few more words. I think also that our parties should put economic change and economic cooperation and security cooperation above fake social elitism and alleged political correctness. Because people are fed up. People are fed up with stupid allegations that are coming from alleged experts that knows everything, but they have no results. And people also want to see the real people in which they're going to believe, in which they can believe. They want to see certainty, and they need real leaders, people faces, not papers, not bureaucratic forms. And that's why we need to show respect to the other nations' choices. That's why we have to obey the election results of all the countries in Europe in a way that we know that people of each country will always choose the very best future for themselves. At the same time, showing that respect, bringing our cooperation to a bigger level, and also resolving the real issues of the people, not trying to escape through marketing tricks, through nice stories, good ads, beautiful videos, and everything that we might produce, but with the substantive politics, with the essential politics, with something that we can offer, and not always criticizing everyone who has different opinions, and above that, always accusing those people of lack of freedom, lack of rule of law, and everything else just because they're different. And Serbia wants to join a strong Europe, and there is another issue, which is an issue of European military strength. in the future, Serbia will be very ready to be supportive and to be a part of bigger European, united European military strength than it used to be, than it is situation today as well. Once again, I'm profoundly grateful to all the organizers and very happy that we'll have more time to listen to my colleagues and to learn many things from them about their experiences and about their expectations in the future. Thank you once again, and Serbia will carry on its EU path, but will carry on with our great cooperation with our neighbors, with our friends, and will respect all their political attitudes, all their political stances, and will fight for our independent approach as well.
Thank you very much, Mr. President, for your strong speech. We can recall in what you said the necessity of courage and the sense of understanding that should prevail over suspicions and accusations inside the European Union, but also with our European friends, for example, in Serbia, in the European conversation. I now want to pass the floor to Janez Jansa, Prime Minister of Slovenia, who has been Prime Minister for 2 times before, Minister and Member of the National Assembly. Mr. Janez Jansa, you have the floor.
Well, thank you very much. Best regards to everybody. Thank you to Prime Minister Viktor Orbán for hospitality, for organizing this event. Congratulations to President Alexandar Vucic for his last big victory on last elections. It was remarkable, really. Congratulations. But most of all, thank you for organizing this uncensored discussion. I think this is what we need, what is needed very much in these very, very challenging times in Europe. We are still living in so-called COVID era, but looking 16, 15 years ago back, I still think that the most important issue, or the issue which has happened during this time and which will have the most significant influence on the future of Europe is Brexit. I think that Brexit is a strategic catastrophe. The European Union is many things, and one condition for its existence is a balance of power. So with Brexit, Brexit has made significant change in this balance, so the new one is needed. I think that the good future of the European project depends very much on the answer on this question, when and which new balance of power is found. We all remember very interesting times when we spoke about Europe being whole and free. Then happened the Big Bang, the big enlargement process, Slovenia and Hungary being part of it. I remember those years as years of so-called golden era. In Europe, everything was positive, optimistic. We only see a great future for everybody. A totally different world than the world which we abandoned during the democratic changes. But now, after 15, 16 years, we see the reality. we have seen during this time many good things, a lot of progress, but also many challenges, which changed significantly the Europe we entered 16 years ago. First, we faced the failure with adopting the European Constitution. And then we tried to fix and stabilize the situation with Lisbon Treaty. We also had troubles with some countries refusing it and so on. But these were administrative challenges. Then the financial and economic crisis came. And in this time we saw that we have some unfinished projects. European Monetary Union, one of them. And we still feel the consequences. Then we faced migratory crisis in 2015. I think that this was a real shock for all of us. Not for all of us, but for those of us who didn't know how serious this problem is before. We saw what's happening in Spain, some other countries, but we thought that this is far away. This is Europe, but it's far away, it's on the other side. But when we faced this situation ourselves during 2015, we realized that, well, this is something real. I still believe that the misbehavior during 2015, the wrong approach of the European institutions and some member countries actually contributed to the final decision of Great Britain or the British people who voted for Brexit. There were many other things, but I think that this situation was something which added additional percentage to no votes. And now we are facing the corona epidemic. Situation is not over yet. President Alexandar Vucic knows this. We know this. We can speak about second wave or unfinished first wave, doesn't matter, but it's not finished yet. During next weeks we will see some similar measures introduced across Europe we faced during the March or April. But when this epidemic started, we faced a massive failure of global institutions. The institutions we created to prevent such situation, we created for early warning, World Health Organization, United Nations, European Union did a little better, but not from the beginning. We were totally unprepared. For a month, European Union looked like Europe in Middle Ages, walls and barriers and restrictions, curfews, emergency situations, confiscation of the medical and protective equipment, everybody looking for solutions, no real coordination. So we faced a moment of truth, moment of reality. So what to do now? You said after COVID period. It's not after COVID yet, unfortunately. We are still in the middle of this crisis. But we are already trying to fix the economic consequences of the epidemic. This huge challenge, which we can meet if if there is no stronger second or third wave. I think that fixing the economic consequences with the proposed recovery fund from the European Union, from MFF, adapted to meet the challenges brought by the epidemic, are good or appropriate answers when we coordinate about them. And I hope that we will be able to reach agreement as soon as possible, because time is money. It's not only euros in those funds, but also the confidence, the optimism, the reaction of the financial markets. But I think that even more important is to defeat virus, and we should be very honest. Until we have workable medicine or vaccine against COVID-19, at least partially normal life, we can live or introduce only if we create and use digital application for virus tracking, which is not totally voluntary. I think this is the only alternative to make possible touristic industry, at least in some levels, to continue, not to lock down the countries, not to face grave consequences because of interrupted change in logistic or in our economy. And this is something where we need Europe, so to coordinate this, to have one application for whole continent, and after that one application, if there is no medicine or vaccine, till the end of the year, for the whole world, for all traveling, to cross the border, to be able to locate the infection. Otherwise, we are facing next month when every country will try to find its own solutions, some being more effective and others less. So I think that we still don't know how will be the consequences of this epidemic, but we approximately know how to deal with it. This is why we can be more effective, and especially we have to be smarter. We have to be smarter, we have to know what's workable and what's not. Third thing I want to mention is that this is not time to speak on large about the future of Europe, to invent new proposals of treaties or having big dreams of new European institutions and so on. It's not time for this, because this can only create new divisions, and we don't need this. We need stability, we need to find new balance of power after Brexit. We have to stabilize the Europe. And we need realistic, pragmatic steps forward. I think this is the answer, what to do. We have to make equal external border of European Union with the Schengen area. So we have to enlarge Schengen area to Croatia, to Romania, to Bulgaria. It's not so difficult, it's easy, but we need political decisions, and this will increase security of the Europe significantly. And we have to enlarge European Union on the countries on Western Balkans, to East countries of the Eastern Partnership, all those countries which want to join and fulfill the conditions has to have to find the doors open. I think this is strategic answer on the challenge made by Brexit. And also this is the fulfillment of our dreams from the beginning, when we spoke about Europe being whole and free. It's not yet whole. About freedom we can discuss. Ideologically, I think the main threat for European Union and our future is cultural Marxism. We are all following what's going on. And I clearly see the same formula which is written in the Communist Manifest from 200 and some decades years ago. To create a new world, you need to dismantle a nation, family, private property, private schools, religion. And this is going on now. This is cultural Marxism, and it's obvious there is a massive offensive going on through mass media, universities, cultural industry, multinational institutions, some political parties. One thing which was partially mentioned before is that less votes somebody get on the elections, more is preaching about the democracy, about values, about how to create a new world. So it's something going on which is smartly hidden, but everybody who knows history and political concepts can clearly see where we are heading. And the front against this offensive is weak and uncoordinated. Everybody who stands against is proclaimed fascist or at least populist and heavily attacked on all sides, from all sides. And I think that we need more united front against this, because this is key issue. This is the battle for our way of life. This is a battle for Western civilization. And in this battle, much more is at stake than institutions only or European Union only. We also should never forget that, as we saw when COVID epidemic hit the world at the beginning of this year, that there are also unknown threats which can happen any day. A massive cyber attack can happen tomorrow. So when we are speaking about the European Union and regional organizations, we have to be prepared we have to be much more prepared. Slovenia is now starting the trio presidency with Germany and Portugal, and we proposed, and both partners in trio accepted two new priorities. One is to create really a comprehensive strategic plan how to fight on European level possible new epidemic, and how to prepare ourselves against a massive cyber attack which could be reality quite soon in the future. But speaking about the most important strategic internal challenge, we should speak about demography. We can do everything, but if there is no people, if there is no Europeans, if there is no population which is sharing our values, then everything is lost. So I think that the main strategic word for the future years in Europe is demography. Overall well-being of societies is related to their cohesiveness, to the preservation and development of their specific identities. Family is a basic natural cell of a society, and it needs to be protected and supported. Appropriate and comprehensive family-friendly policies are of strategic importance for our aging societies. We all face this problem. Migration policy, which is preached by some people as a total solution for demographic challenges. Migration policy can only be a complement in addressing the demographic challenges, and only if it is properly managed. Social, cultural, economic and security costs of migration need to be taken into account. Where there is not, we clearly see the consequences. I'm afraid that in some countries they are irreparable, and this is causing problems also for all partners inside of the Europe. To prevent the sad and sometimes cruel history from being repeated, the founding fathers, which were all Christian Democrats, created what is nowadays the European Union. This is union of values. European Union was created as union of values. Since then, more and more Europeans enjoyed peace and high standards of living. Currently, the vast majority of Europeans were born in wealth. They don't know the hardship, and this has its own consequences. The success story of the European Union in the first decades created strong tool of soft power, which helped the military might of the free world to dismantle the Berlin Wall and the Iron Curtain and make European unification possible, but this project is not fulfilled yet. This consciousness must strengthen us in faith in ourselves and in our common project. We can meet the challenges we face if we go back to our values. This is very clear. We need to rethink our identity, and we need to start fighting for it. We need to fight for the people, for Europeans, for our heritage, for our nations, for our freedom, for our way of life, and for our future. This is our future. The historic vision of Europe whole and free and Europe at peace is not yet entirely fulfilled. We all know this. We have the opportunity and responsibility to fulfill the dream of our founding fathers, and this is a historic responsibility and task of the European center-right. For the European Christian Democrats, I think this is the most noble challenge ahead for all of us. Thank you very much. Thank you once again for organizing this Europe Uncensored discussion. I think we will need a lot more of this in next future. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister, for your speech. And we can recall what you said. We can meet all the challenges ahead of us, including this demographic challenge, which is, of course, a main issue for our future, if we can get back to our roots and to our values. Thank you for what you said. I know that we are talking with three freedom fighters, and that what you share with us today is rooted in your experience, and you recalled it by fighting communism, Soviet communism. And then I pass the floor to one of these freedom fighters. The Prime Minister of Hungary, Viktor Orbán, has been founder of Fidesz and Prime Minister in 1998 and then since 2010. I want to thank him again in your name for welcoming this event in Budapest and the organization of this conversation. Prime Minister, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, may I just welcome my friend Janez and Alexandar, President and Prime Minister. The fact is that the merit of organizing that event is not going to me, it's going to the organizers, which is a foundation. Here in Hungary, the Civic Hungarian Foundation. My job was only to find good company to have a discussion on the future of Europe. And you should know, Alexander and Janez, that you both of you enjoy a great respect here in Hungary. Janez is always considered here in Hungary as the bravest anti-communist fighter of the European politics, the big comebacker who is always fighting, never giving up and coming back, so we respect it very much. And Alexander, you know well that the Serbian-Hungarian relation was never so good as it is today, and we appreciate you as a leader who put back Serbia on the political map of Europe. And now it's obvious to everybody who has a little sense in his mind that without Serbia as member of European Union, the security of the continent cannot be guaranteed. And now we should be very happy that there is a leader in Serbia who could be a good partner for the European Union to negotiate on how to complete the security architecture of the European Union. So that was the idea why I thought that it would be nice to be together this afternoon with you. So thank you very much. Plus, I would not like to hide the fact that it's always a great honor to speak in front of good patriots. And we all, three of us, invested a lot of energy to fight for the freedom and sovereignty of our nations, and this is a special club of freedom fighters and fighters for national sovereignty. So again, welcome all of you. Plus, don't forget about that nowadays experience is not very much often could be found in the European politics. If you look at the politicians of the European Union today, there are only very few active politicians who were active and contributed in the time of downfall of the Soviet Union and changing the history of the continent, but we were there. The only Western European politician who made a major contribution and still active is Chancellor Angela Merkel, who is just about to leave. In brackets, I tried to convince her not to do so, but I was always rejected. So if you look at from that angle to the European politics, you know, experience what we have is quite rare. So I think the old freedom fighters of Eastern Europe are the ones still on the line in politics today. So it's good to share, as freedom fighters, veterans, may I say, to share our experience and future ideas on Europe. To speak on Europe in 20 minutes is almost impossible, so I will follow your recipe. I just will pick up certain issues and to make some comments. First of all, may I just say something on the context on which I speak about Europe. And the first element of the context of the age we are living in Europe is that Europe is in retreat. Europe is performing worse than it was doing 30 years ago. Just concentrate on certain facts, because it's not an opinion, it's basically facts. The fertility rate in 1990 in the European Union was 1.8. 2008, it was 1.5, 5.6, and in 18, it was 1.5. This means that Europe is on a slope regarding demography. The annual number of marriages show the same pattern. If you look at the defense spending, in 2018, the defense spending was only 1.4% of GDP. 30 years ago, it was 2.5%. So it means that we are paying much less attention to our safety than we did so 30 years ago. And the ratio of European Union's economic output globally, which was 25% in 1990, and last year it was only 15%. So no need to explain this data. So the context we are speaking on the future of Europe is that our continent is in retreat. And the other element of the context is that the balance of power has changed in Europe. So 30 years ago, the pattern was very simple. The French-German cooperation was the engine of the economic development, and the United Kingdom carried the flag for the nations of Europe concept. And that created a balance of power in Europe. And that was the case even when our countries joined the European Union and the continent was reunified. What can we see today? So France, in fighting for maintaining purely its competitiveness and deeply indebted. United Kingdom has left, and Germany, once again, the strongman of Europe. So the point is that the balance of power of nations inside the European Union now has dramatically changed. So whatever difficulties arise, everyone expects Germany to save the integration. So 75 years ago, Germany was bombed back to the Middle Age, and now they are again the savior or the only big country who can save the European countries because of having dreadful economic difficulties at this moment. So this is the new power reality in Europe. It has a lot of consequences for the future, too difficult to be disputed in just 20 minutes, but this is a fact that when we speak about the future of Europe, we should have in our mind. Still belonging to the context, I would like to draw your attention that three crises have squeezed Europe in the very short period of time. So in the last 22 years of Europe, we just moved from crisis to crisis. So the first crisis was the financial crisis in 2008, then the migration crisis in 2015, and then the virus crisis now. And as just you have mentioned, neither of these crises have been treated properly, and each of them has been handled differently on two sides of the old continent. So there was a different crisis management on the West, and there was a different kind of crisis management here in Central Europe. The first crisis, the financial crisis in Western Europe, they wanted to solve it by saving the so-called welfare state. In Eastern Europe, and mainly in Hungary, we embraced the idea of workfare state. So we thought that that crisis was an opening event of a new age, and we have to renew our economic and political structure. So welfare state is not anymore the proper structure. We need what we call the workfare state. So just prior to the virus crisis, the unemployment rate in Hungary, but in other V4 countries also, was around 3%, and the economic growth rate was more than 4, close to 5% GDP growth rate. So then the migration crisis arrived, and we again have given different answers to that, different in West and different in East. Western Europe, they wanted to solve its demographic problem by promoting migration, so they were not anti-migrant at all. In Central Europe, we did not want to import other civilizations' problems to our countries, because during the centuries, our countries have experienced that it means to have a cohabitant with totally different cultural habits in our backyard can create a lot of difficulties, and we never wanted such a situation to be repeated. So this is where we are. So changing position of European Union in the global arena, changing power structure and balance situation inside the European Union, and some experiences and lessons of the three crises we have had. I would like to mention another problem also, which I just identified in the recent years, being part of the meeting of Council and party meetings. So why Europe could not even solve its own problems? It wanted always to change the world. And still it is an ambition. So the current leadership of the European Union cannot even solve our own problem or the surrounding international problems. We cannot handle the Libyan conflict. We cannot handle the Ukrainian situation. But despite our inability to act, We want to tell international partners how to run their own country. We tell it to the Chinese, we tell it to the Russians, we tell it to the Turkish, we tell it to Israel, now even to the United States of America, how they should run their own country. So that kind of misunderstanding of our own situation is a serious challenge, and we have to put an end to that practice, and we should come back and firmly believe that Europe should focus on its internal problems first. And then probably we can have some advice to somebody else. So managing our own problems is essential to regain the EU's influence on international economic and political arena. So may I just say that as a consequence of all these factors, when I look at the ideas concerning the future of Europe in the European political disputes, I can identify clearly two different concepts of Europe. They are not just different, but they are contesting each other. So the first concept is the progressive, liberal, leftist, may I say, from a Budapest point of view, a semi-Marxist concept of future in Europe. They promote multiculturalism, they are pushing forward pro-migration policy, they follow an anti-family policy, they want to get rid of the concept of nations and nation-states, and they consider irrelevant the Christian social teachings. And there are more and more politicians are supporting that kind of vision of Europe, may I confess sometimes even inside EPP. But there's another concept of the future of Europe, which is a concept of Europe based on Christian culture, of what we have inherited. So this concept considered relevant the values of Christian social teaching. This concept is deeply anti-communist, pro-family as an elemental component of society. This concept treats national identity as a value which needs to be preserved. So the question is, what can we do if we have inside the European Union so many and huge differences on the future of Europe? How can we keep together the two parts of the European Union with two different concepts of Europe? The question is it possible it at all or not? And I think there is a narrow track following we can be successful to keep together the European Union as a whole. And this is the way that the West does not or should not force its views on Eastern countries. We need to learn to tolerate our differences again, and we, Central Europeans, should not want to tell the Westerners how they should run their country. So if we are ready to accept that kind of differences, even in terms of the vision for the future, we can manage to live together and we can keep together the Union as a whole. So we Central Europeans should ask the Westerners, please don't tell us how we have to live our lives. So I think this is the basic precondition to continue our history as the history of the European Union, but I think it is possible. Then may I just have some short remark on current issues, especially on MFF and Next Generation Fund, and then I would like to come back to the future of Europe issue. So the MFF up to now, in the last 30 years, was always a success story. A lot of disputes, sometimes heated disputes, but finally we were always able to find a compromise which was good for everybody and creates a win-win situation, because we got new allocations, and at the same time 70–75% of the money went back to the Western countries anyway, but contributed to the development of our economies. So I think we should understand that that kind of compromise is necessary again when we try to create the MFF. But the real challenge now is that we would not like just to create a new MFF, new budget for the future, but we would like to create something extraordinary, which was never done, and this is the so-called Next Generation Fund. And I think we would like to manage together the budget issue and the Next Generation Fund at the same time. I think that the name of this fund, Next Generation, should be taken literally, because the next generations will be paying for it. Because it's a loan, it's a credit, will be taken for 30 years, and it will loom over the head of our grandchildren. So we Hungarians don't like to tackle any crisis by loan, but now we have to accept this approach in order to help those countries who are in trouble now. So the Hungarian position is very clear. If you would like to create that kind of credit, the distribution must be fair, flexible, and non-political. So I think we will have very tough negotiations in the forthcoming week in Brussels, and it's difficult to imagine how we can conclude this debate in one round. So I think during the summertime, the vacation will be not the most important thing for the prime ministers and presidents of the European Union, but rather to continue the negotiation to find a way how to relaunch our economy by the budget and the Next Generation Fund. And my final remark, my friends, is back to the future of Europe. So if the description I have given to you is true, I think now we have to admit that what we need is a proper strategy for the European Union. It is always up to the politicians' wisdom to decide when to follow a tactical or a strategical approach. And I think in the last 12 years, during the crisis time, Europe was following basically a tactical approach, and it seems to lead to a dead-end road. So in my understanding, the EU was only giving reactive answers to the events of the world. So in future, we need a strategy instead of tactics, and we need to be proactive instead of being reactive. So proactive strategy requires strong commitment to work together on the grounds in which we share common approach. What could be these grounds? So these grounds are the need for economic cooperation and to increase our common competitiveness capabilities. So the strategy for Europe should concentrate on these issues. I accept that human rights is important, even gender issues could be disputed, but the real challenges are not that kind of difficulties. We are championing gender, we are championing human rights of the European Union. The real challenges is economy and competitiveness and how to strengthen the structure of our economies. So I think we should strategically approaching these points. And we have to admit that pushing different cultures to the same direction politically will always be counterproductive and only a waste of resources. As Bismarck stated clearly, I like to call Bismarck regularly on European issues because he had a very healthy relationship to the issue of Europe. He said, I quote him, "I have always heard the word Europe from the mouth of someone who wanted something from another, which he dared not ask on his own account." So I think we need not that kind of European strategy, but a strategy which really focuses on the need of the European Union. And the final question is, who will create that strategy for Europe? And on the birthday of the EPP, I wish the EPP to be the one to do so. So this is my final remark, and I would like to say thank you very much for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Mr. Prime Minister. I'd like to thank you again for this discussion. As we know, and as we felt in your words, this is a moment in which we should have such debates and open conversations. And even if there could be disagreements inside the European Union, it would be a reason more to continue the discussion. I'd be happy to say, to conclude this debate as a French member of the European Parliament, that I hope that this kind of discussion could help us to understand each other and to try to have a frank debate in order to avoid this East and West divide that is now threatening the very essence of European Union. If we believe in this union, then we should have this effort, mutual effort and reciprocal attempt to try to understand each other and to continue this conversation. This is what I wish at best for the future of Europe. I hope that this event will be the first of many continuous conversations with you and with other actors in the field of European construction. I want to thank again those who participated in this debate: President Alexandar Vucic, Prime Minister Janez Jansa, and Prime Minister Viktor Orbán. I also want to thank, obviously, the Foundation for a Civic Hungary, which hosted this event and organized it. I want to thank all the staff of the Foundation, and a special thanks to the Minister of State, Katalin Novak, for her invitation to this meeting today. Thank you again for this discussion we had today, and I hope we can continue it very soon. Thank you very much.